and I will do my best to keep in the time frame here and answer all questions. I am going to ask you if you could save some of the questions toward the end, unless somebody wants to, monitor my questions for me. That would be great. So again, I'm using this for the first time, so I'll do my best to check things out here with WebEx. And again, just a couple things. I do hear some background noise, so if you are joining, please go ahead and mute your computers and your videos for now. That way we don't have the background noise going on, and that would be great. So anyway, my name is John Smith. I am the iPod teacher on Twitter. So if you are on Twitter and you want to give me a follow, you can get bonus points for doing that. I was assured that the district would give you bonus points for following me on Twitter. Those bonus points are probably not worth anything, but I can say that you get bonus points and you'll do it because that's what kids do, right? They're the same way. And my email is johnsmith@bookcreator.com. So if you have any questions after this that you and your tech team can't answer, I'm always here to help answer those questions for you. I need to, pardon me for 1 second while I turn on my do not disturb here so I don't get any more notifications. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm married. I've got 3 kids. They're all upstairs playing with Spheros right now. So if anything comes flying down the basement steps and I'm over there, that's what it is. Nope. And let's see what else. I taught special ed for 12 years. I was a technology integration specialist for 7, and now I'm the teacher success manager at Book Creator. And I am absolutely thrilled that you are all joining me today. And I am so glad that Book Creator has become part of your school district and your implementation of learning and creativity. And I'm not sure if an email went out or anything like that, but for those of you that are not part of Book Creator or have not used it yet, we did turn on domain level access for your district starting today. Actually, it started today. So everybody in the district now has the full version of Book Creator for the next however long we're doing what we do, right? With this whole virus thing. So we're going to give everybody full access so that you guys can play around with it and hopefully use Book Creator in your remote learning situation. If that is what everybody's doing. So anyway, I'm very excited to be here and looking forward to chatting with you today. So this session specifically is getting started with Book Creator. So I'm going to share with you all of the features that I think are very important with Book Creator, take a deep dive and kind of answer any questions that you may have. So some of you may have used Book Creator already. Some of you may not have. And so we're just going to make sure that we really fully understand Book Creator. And then later today, I'm not sure how your day is set up, but later today I'll be back and we're going to be doing a 1 book, 1 hour session where we are going to write, compile, and publish a book all in an hour. So I'm looking forward to that session as well. Okay, so here we go. Before we jump into all the Book Creator goodies, I am going to ask you to violate one of the rules that we've already established this morning. And that rule is that of not sharing your screen, right? I want to see everybody's pictures here. Let's see if this will work. It may not work. Well, anyway, here's what we can do. If you can, take a selfie and send it to me through email or because I'm trying to find out how to go to full screen here, and I think I may have to stop sharing in order to go full screen. But this is all right. If you can take a selfie and send it to me, I need help because I am on a mission. I am on a mission to beat Ellen at her own game. So a couple of years ago, Ellen DeGeneres took a group selfie at the Academy Awards. And, my screen here is taking a second to load. So if you remember that, she took a group selfie, and that selfie, it got like 2 million retweets, and which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. Because I hate pictures of myself. I don't like selfies, and I thought it was crazy, right? But ever since that day, I have been on a mission to beat Ellen at her own game. I have tried every workshop, every training, every keynote that I've done, every conference that I've been at, whatever. I have tried to take a group selfie just so that I can beat Ellen, all right? And so here's what we're going to do. Take 30 seconds, take a selfie, and then you can send it to me on Twitter at the iPod Teacher, or you can email it to me, johnsmith@bookcreator.com, no H in John. and I'm going to compile all those pictures into one big collage, and we're going to send that out on Twitter and tell Ellen that we're going to beat her at the selfie game. So I've gotten very close to beating Ellen. She had, at this point, she's had 3.5 million retweets. I've gotten very close to beating Ellen. I've had 7. So today, I think, is probably the day, you guys. From the videos that I did see, you look like a bunch of tweeters, right? So maybe today is the day that we are going to beat Ellen at her game. All right. So if you can, again, take a picture, send it to me, and we're going to get started. Okay. So today we're going to talk about Book Creator. And I think one of the things that I want to kind of express before we jump into all of the features is that Book Creator is really, really, really simple. So if you haven't used Book Creator yet, you will find out that Book Creator is super, super simple. And I think that in this day when things are very up in the air and things are changing, minute by minute, day by day, finding a tool that you can use that is simple is going to be very helpful in the long run. All right. So when we get into Book Creator, I'm going to pull up my Playground library here, my Playground book. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on collaboration. And when I turn on collaboration, that's going to allow any of you that have access to this library, it's going to allow you to get into the library and play inside this book. So I turned on collaboration for this book alone. And I'm going to put this code right here. I'm going to put it up here for a second. I'm also going to copy that. I'm going to throw that code into the chat window here. And you are going to be able to get into this book. So where do we send the selfies? It's at the iPod Teacher is my Twitter handle, or John Smith at bookcreator.com. All right, so I'll leave those in the chat window. So this code is going to get you into my library, all right? And then it will allow you to get into this book. What you'll notice is this first book and any of the other books will have a play button, which means that you cannot get into them, but you can see them. But this book, the Playground book that I've turned on collaboration, will now allow you to get into my book. So for those of you that are familiar with Book Creator, you're going to sign into your account, app.bookcreator.com, and then you are going to sign in and you're going to join my library. And I am having a little bit of trouble here with this showing up. So I am going to move closer to the Wi-Fi. So hang on 1 second here. I'm going to mute myself for 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Had to move to a different location. Sometimes the Wi-Fi is a little far away from where I was sitting. Okay, so here we go. So in this book, this Playground book, I'm going to show you the different features of Book Creator. All right, and yes, okay, so I saw a message pop up about Clever. Yes, you guys signed up for Clever. So if you go to your Clever dashboard, you can jump in through there. All right. And there's a lot of people here, which is great. So again, that chat window is flying by. So if anybody in charge sees a question that I need to answer, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to just pop on and ask me those questions. All right. So
John, we're answering the chat.
Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So once you go to a page, actually, you know what? Before we get to a page, I do want to show you something that's really important because this is a big sticking point. So if I click New Book, all right, or if your students click New Book when you enter a library, you'll see 6 different styles that you can choose from. So you've got the top row, which is plain books, and then you have the bottom row, which is comic books, and then you have the different types of sizes. My personal opinion is that I'm going to choose something from this bottom row, and I usually choose landscape comic. And the reason I choose landscape is because it has more real estate that will allow you to kind of play around and put things onto the page. The top row is great, but it doesn't have the comic book features. Some students will pick on one of the top row, and then later they'll say, "Where is my, where is my comic features, or where are my stickers?" Those are not available in the top row. So even if you don't want to make a comic book, I always say pick the bottom one so that you can make a comic part if you want, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a comic book. All right, so let's go back to my playground book here. All right, so in this playground book, if you actually click inside the book, if you're able to multitask, you will see that people's names will start to pop up on these pages. And if you decide to come in here and play around with this with me this morning, just make sure you find a blank page to go to. I'm going to just be on page 2 here. So I can see Vergisha is on there, so welcome. So just find a blank page and go to that page. Make sure that somebody else's name isn't there. So you only want one name per page. And I'm just going to start. So with Book Creator, the two most important buttons that you're going to see are at the top, the plus button and the I button. The plus button allows you to add content. The I button or the inspector allows you to manipulate that content or make some kind of edits. So when I click the plus button, we've got some great options. We have media, comics, and shapes. All right, and we're going to start with shapes because they're my least favorite, and we're going to work our way up to my favorite tools. All right, so with shapes, I'm just going to choose a shape, and I'm going to say this carefully because if you choose a triangle, an arrow, or a star, this may not work the way I show you because those shapes don't allow this feature. But if I choose like a square, a circle, or this rounded rectangle and click on it, it adds the shape to my page. When I double click inside that shape, I am now allowed to add text. I can also click the little blue dots and I can resize and move the shape around the screen, which is really cool. And if I click the inspector button while the shape is outlined in blue, if I click the inspector button, it will allow me to do some editing. So I can change the color of my shape. I can change, add a shadow to it. I can add a border. And if I click border, I can now change a border color. I can change the width of the border. And I can change the text settings. And so with the text settings, I can change the font. My personal favorite is Open Dyslexic. It's a font specifically made for dyslexic students. Supposedly it makes it reading a little bit easier. And then I can change the color. And so I have my color there. I can change the size of my text. And now I'm done. And so now I have a shape that I've turned into kind of a fancy text box. And what I like about the shapes then is, like I kind of tease and said they're kind of, lame and not the greatest feature we have. But what's really cool about shapes though is that you can do a lot of stuff with it. I'm really a big fan of asking kids to do things like design your favorite design your favorite scene from a book using only shapes. Make your favorite storybook character using only shapes. And one of the things that teachers have gotten really good at doing now, which I think is fantastic, is that teachers that are using Book Creator for remote learning are finding ways to make comments on student work because we don't have that feature normally, right? So it's like Google Docs, but not quite. So you can't comment on student work. So what teachers have found is if I take a shape, put some text in there, and kind of put it off to the side, I now have a text box with comments in it. So I can have student work on the page. I can leave a comment in the shape box, text box, and let them know what they need to fix. And when a student is done, they simply click on the box and delete it, or they leave it there, and then the teacher can see that the student has made the changes that they need. And I saw somebody pop up and say, that's cool. Yeah, it's something silly, but it's just something that people don't normally think of, right? They just think of it's a shape, right? Like, how lame. What else do we do with it? I've also seen people use shapes to do timelines. So you could do timelines of events in your life. You could do timelines of, if you're journaling with your students through this whole virus thing, daily journals, have them use, shapes to make a timeline of their daily journal. You could do historical timelines. You could do all kinds of things. Obviously, there's some math applications in there as well, but there's a lot of great things you can do with just shapes alone. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and delete my shape now. And I see that Beth is on my page. That's great. Hi, Beth. Just remember, if you want to find a blank page that's fine with nobody else's name on it. And if you need to add pages, I'm going to go to the last page here for a second. If you need to add a page, after page 20, just click the plus button and just keep adding pages. All right, to the book. And so again, just click on stuff and play along with me as we're going along here. All right, so I'm still on page 2. The next one, if I click the plus button, the next one is media. So the media tab, there is a lot of stuff going on in the media tab. So we've got an import button. So if I click on the import button, we have some options. And the first one is a Google image search. And so with the Google image search, I'm just going to look for something here. I'm going to type in dog. I'm going to find the one that I like. And let's see here. Oh, we'll go with this guy. All right, he looks fun. All right, so yeah, oh, that one, that happens every once in a while. If you just noticed, it said dismiss this file. Sometimes some of the images that Google has in their files they come from a weird site and they don't actually upload into our books. So we'll choose this one. I know this dog works. All right, so here we go. I've got my image that I've added to the page. Once you click the image, you can resize it. You can move it around. You can rotate it. Oh, I see somebody's building on my page here. I'm going to delete your image here real quick. Make sure you find a blank page. I'm on page 2, so just make sure you find another page. All right, so I can rotate my image. I can move it around the screen. All right, pretty cool stuff. But now you can do even more with the image. So if I click the inspector button while the image is outlined, if I click the inspector, we have a couple of really cool options. The first one is hyperlink. So I can hyperlink this image to a specific website. So if I wanted people to click on the dog and have it go to a dog adoption website, I can have it do that. All right, so that's pretty cool. You can also hyperlink it to a specific page. So if I said go to page 9, when I click on the dog, it then takes me to page 9. My favorite thing that I've seen teachers do with this is choose your own adventure stories. So at the top of the page, I've got my story. John went to the pet store, and as he walked in, he couldn't decide. Did he want to buy the dog or did he want to buy the goldfish? And so we have two pictures. We have a picture of a dog, picture of a goldfish. If he buys the dog, he clicks on it and goes to page 9. If he buys the goldfish, he clicks on it and goes to page 12. All right, so you can do choose your own adventure stories, which is really kind of fun. And it also, that choose your own adventure stories requires a lot of thinking. So if you have kids that you need to challenge, or that just need a little bit of extra something, right, to get them going, choose your own adventure stories requires a lot of thinking. So it might be something worth trying. The other thing that we have is some accessibility text. So for me, when I was working with students in the classroom, the only way that I could get them to do any kind of writing was to tell them that I was going to take their writing and publish it for a global audience. And that really changed things for the students. But in the process, we talked to them about how writing a book is helpful, but there is a lot of things, there's a lot of people that couldn't just read text, right? They couldn't see the images. So with the accessibility text, I can change this and say white fluffy dog on a deck. And so now when anybody with visual impairments is reading my book, if they click on the page and have it read to them, it will also read the image. So as it reads the text, it'll then say image, and it'll say white fluffy dog on a deck. And so now we're writing books for an audience, and we're trying to get as many people into that audience as possible. All right, so I really like the accessibility text. All right, I'm going to delete my image. If I go back up to the plus button, media, import, the other thing I do want to mention about these images is they are Google Safe Search images. They're the safest images that Google allows. I also want to say that they are labeled as commercial reuse with modification. So if you want to put a mustache on that dog, you can. And then the other thing is that all of these images are labeled as non-attribution. All right, so you do not need to attribute what you did. All right, so that is really cool. All right, I am seeing a lot of questions about video tutorials and things like that popping up. I don't have any links right off the top of my head that I can paste into the thing, but I do want you to know that our YouTube channel has a lot of great videos in terms of using videos for all kinds of things. And I did also just see that this recording will be posted later as well, so you can watch this over and over again. Or if you want to scare the animals out of your backyard or something like that, you can play my voice in my video. All right. The next thing under the media import tab. All right. So if I click on the map, the Google Maps, I can put in like an address here. Okay. And so here's my house. I'm going to go to satellite view and we'll zoom in a little bit. All right. There's my house right there. So if I click select, I can then add that to my page. And then for me personally, this is a really good opportunity to get those shapes back out. Click on the arrow, and maybe I can annotate over top of this Google map and say John's house, right? And maybe if I copy that and bring that down here, I could say John's wife's car, right? Now there's about a 99.9% chance that just got washed because one of those blips in the driveway is either a pressure washer or a child. I'm not sure which one. I'm a certified auto detailer on the side, so I love cleaning cars. And up here in Ohio, we have 4 seasons. We have spring, summer, fall, and salt. And right now we're in salt season. So cleaning cars is something I really, really enjoy doing. So anyway, there's a clean car out in the driveway. All right. So anyway, there's a Google map. So again, I've seen people use Google Maps for timelines of events, right? Or timelines of locations, all kinds of really cool things. So keep those in mind as you're doing timelines or I'm sorry, as Google Maps. The next one under media import is files. Now with files, you can pull files in from your computer. So you can pull in PDFs, you can pull in documents, slideshows, you can pull in photos, videos, audio, things like that. So I'm going to pull up this one here. And when I pull up a PDF and click open, this is what it will look like when it's added to your book. Now, it's not going to take a PDF and turn it into some magical ebook. It's not going to do that, but it does add a little PDF icon here. So when I click on it, and I'm going to try to do this quickly so that I don't share vital information. All right. So there's some statistics for a school district. All right. And so it pulls up. So what you can do is you can use this as a tool. So read what's on the page. And once you read what's on the page, on the PDF, then you can come back and answer some questions. So maybe using a shape as a graphic organizer, maybe using it as a mind map, maybe using it as a template. So fill in answers to these 3 questions based on the PDF that you just read. All right, so there's a lot of things you can do with a PDF or adding any kind of document to your page. Next, under media import is Google Drive. Same thing here. If I click on Google Drive, it's going to ask me to connect to my Google Drive, and then it will pull up my Google Drive files and documents, and I can pull those into my book as well. So again, slideshows, documents, PDFs, video, photos, drawings, things like that you have in Google Drive, you can then pull them in. And then the last one that is in the import category is the embed feature. And the embed feature is probably one of my favorites in this section, this import section. And so what I'm going to do is I'm trying to move things around here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a new tab. All right. And so YouTube is usually the easiest for this. So I'm going to go to YouTube, and pardon, this is kind of dangerous, right? You never really know what's going to happen. All right. So here we go. We're going to pull up this YouTube video. I'm going to expand that real quick. Underneath the YouTube video, there's a share button. And when you click on a share button, to the left, there is a button that says Embed. And when I click on the embed code, it means nothing to me, but I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to go back to my book. And I'm going to paste that embed code right here in the box and click on the link. And make sure that's what I want. The $3.5 million LaFerrari. Yep, that's definitely what I want. And I'm going to click Add to Book. And now that YouTube video is added directly into the book. It is embedded in the book. And what's really nice about embedding YouTube videos in here is that when you click play,
this is a LaFerrari, a car that is so...
All right. When you click on a book, or I'm sorry, a video that you have embedded into the book, there's no commercials at the beginning, there's no commercials at the end, and there's no comments underneath, and no sidebar, which is where people get into trouble. So whoever put the YouTube video there, great. I'm going to delete you. I want to make sure that you find your own page to work on so that I can continue sharing. Sorry for deleting your picture. My apologies. But here you go, you can embed YouTube videos. Now, it's not just YouTube videos that you can embed. You can embed basically anything that has an embed feature. So Flipgrid videos, Soundtrap files, Desmos calculators, what else? Anything that has a Padlet, anything that has an embed code, you can put into Book Creator basically. All right, so it makes Book Creator on Chrome, especially the online version, the ultimate of like app smashing tools. All right, so it's really, really cool. I really, really enjoy that. And so again, you just click play, pops up in a little sidebar, a little pop-up video there, and you're all set. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Next, I'm going to click the plus button. I'm going to click media, and we already covered everything under import, so the next one is the camera tool. So I'm going to click on camera, and you have two options. Sorry for the darkness here. I'm in my theater room here. When I click take a picture, all right, we've got a still picture. I click use, and it adds it to the page. All right. And then again, same rules apply with this. If I click the inspector button, I can add a website or a page number to that, and I can use accessibility text, all right, for the still picture. If I click the plus button, media and camera, another option is to record a video. So I'm going to click record a video, gives you a countdown, get that last burp out. Hey everyone, John Smith here. I hit stop, and I use that video. And now, when I use that video, again, it just gets put right onto the page, which is very cool. If I click play, you can see it play. Hey, I clicked the button too fast. Hey, everyone, John Smith here. All right, so there you go. There's your video. Now, we did just make some improvements to Book Creator about a month and a half, 2 months ago. So we have improved 230 accessibility features. Most of them are under the hood that you'll probably never ever see, but there are a couple that are really important. So I want to share one with you right now. So with this video, if I have it outlined, when I click the inspector button, I now have the ability to add captions to that video. So if I click add captions, I can add captions in 120 different languages, right? You can see them all there. And the trick here, though, is you have to speak in whatever language it is that you want captioned. So you can't speak English and have Spanish captions, but you can speak in Spanish and have Spanish captions. All right, so I'm going to click here to generate the captions automatically. We also have the option to enter them manually if you want, but I'm going to say generate automatically. Generate captions. You'll see here that it's going to take a few seconds, but you got the bouncing dots to let you know that that it's working. You do not have to stay here and watch the bouncing dots. All right, you can move beyond that. So I'm going to click back. I'm going to let it do its thing while I continue talking. So while it's doing this, you can always click on this and then hit the inspector button and see that it's still working. You can still see the bouncing dots right here. All right, so I'm going to refresh this page real quick and see if I can just jump start it. Sometimes it takes a couple seconds. Sometimes it takes a little longer. It just depends on how many things are being uploaded to our site at the time and how good your Wi-Fi is at home or not. So if I click the play button, let's see if it worked. Hey everyone, John Smith. Let's see if I'm going to back it up just a little bit so you can see it. There's the caption. All right, and so now I've got the caption on the video, and I can see that something is wrong. All right, so I'm going to click the inspector button again. I'm going to hit add captions, and I'm going to go back down here to the bottom where it says edit existing captions. And what's wrong is that they spelled my name wrong. So I'm going to get rid of the H, and I'm going to maybe put an exclamation point at the end. And I'm going to hit, I'm good there. I'm going to hit done. All right, and there you go. And now I've got these captions. It's edited the way I want it. Here. Let me go back and repeat that so you can see it. Here. Whoop, I went too far. There it is. You can see it spelled correctly. Everything's the way I want it to be. All right, so captions are very cool. So again, if you have people who have maybe hearing impairments, so now I have the ability to have text written across the video so that if you have hearing impairments, you can actually see the text to go with it. Now, I did see a question pop up that says, can you move the caption? And you cannot. So that is something that I will be sharing with our team so that they can see that is something that we want. I think being able to move the captions would be a fantastic idea. All right, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. The next under the plus button in media is definitely one of my favorites, and it is the pen tool. All right, so the pen tool is awesome. With the pen tool, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pens here that you can see. If I click on the little black dot, I've got a whole slew of colors. My favorite, and everybody's favorite, is magic ink. So as I'm drawing, the ink is changing, all right? And your kids are going to go absolutely crazy over magic ink. Trust me. All right, so there's that. I'm going to undo that for a second. I'm going to click this, and I'm just going to go back to a regular color here for a second. So we're going to go to black. With our pen tool, we have a regular pen, a marker. We have a brush. We have a crayon. We have a highlighter, which is really great for highlighting work, right? Especially if you're a teacher, you can highlight over something. And we have my personal favorite, which is auto draw. All right, so I'm going to clear off the screen here real quick, and I'm going to choose auto. Now, if you teach anything above, say, 5th or 6th grade, and you ask a student to draw something, because that's what we do as teachers, right? We ask them to draw. Chances are children are going to hate you for it, right? They're going to hate you for asking them to draw. If they don't hate you yet, they will when you tell them that they have to draw something using a trackpad, right? Because drawing on a trackpad is probably one of the worst experiences on the planet. So here's what we've got. We have auto draw. So I'm going to try and draw a bike. All right. Now I'm already upset because my bike tires look like deformed Easter eggs or something, right? I don't know what those are. But as I'm drawing my bike, the auto draw at the top is trying to figure out what it is that I'm drawing. And when I click on it and say, oh, yep, it's this bike right here, it fixes my ugly, disgusting bike and turns it into something special. So when I click the X to get out of the choosing menu here, I can then go back in and I can click on a different color. So let's go back to my magic ink. I can then click on the fill bucket and I can fill in my bike. All right, and then I have something really awesome. If I want, I can click the emojis, and maybe I want to add a back tire that's an emoji, so it looks kind of like a Tour de France bike. I click done, and now my single drawing that I just drew is something that I can put on my page once it loads here. I can then move it around. I can resize it. I can drag it around, and I can make it pop wheelies. All right, so yes, I keep seeing the word game changer or amazing or wow going across there. Absolutely. Again, I'm a big fan of telling students, taking away their excuse. So if the students tell me they can't do the activity because they can't draw, well, guess what? Now we can. Can you animate your drawings? You cannot animate your drawings, okay? We don't have a way to do that just yet. But again, that's something else I can take to the team. I think that would be really, really cool. All right, so there's auto draw. All right, next, plus button, media. The next one is text. All right, and so text is very straightforward. I can just type in some text, and I have an option here to bold, italicize, or underline. If I highlight the text, I can click the link. I can link it to a website or to a page in the book. So I've used this personally for interactive table of contents. Click on chapter 1, it takes you to chapter 1. Click on chapter 2, takes you to chapter 2. And then we also have a magnifying glass. And this magnifying glass basically allows you to just increase the size of the text inside that box only, all right, just so you can see it a little bit better. And then we have a microphone, all right, and this is my favorite. So I taught special ed for 12 years, and I had kids come out to me all the time. They're like, Mr. Smith, listen, we get it. We want to write now. We like Book Creator. This is awesome. But you know what? I can't spell. I can't type because I don't know the keyboard layout. I don't understand all that stuff. And I said, guess what? It's okay. Neither do your teachers, right? Your teachers can't spell. Your teachers can't type. I know this because I've watched them all do it. But what you can do is if you click this microphone, it will allow you to write with your face. All right. So speech to text. And it does have speech to text in 120 different languages. All right. So that's really awesome. So once I have my text, I click done. I did see a couple of questions in here that said, how do I change the font, right? And the short answer is you're stuck, right? This is it. This is what it looks like. I'm just kidding. It's not, right? So once the text is outlined in blue, if you click the inspector button, you can now change the size of your text by dragging the slider. You can left, center, or right justify, bold, italicize, or underline, and you can change the font here. And you can change background if you want. I'm not a big fan personally of adding background colors to my text. Some people do like that, but I'm not a fan of that. You can also do a shadow behind your text if you want, and there you go. All right, there's your text. Now, the only thing that I would caution you about, only because I get this question quite a bit, is if I took a 4-page Google Doc, copied it, and pasted it into Book Creator, would I have a 4-page book? And the answer is no. You would have a really ugly text box. All right, so please, if you're going to copy and paste, tell your kids, make sure that you copy and paste, strategically. Okay? And then the last button under the media is the record button. I am a huge fan of the recording button. And so when I click record, I hit start recording. Gives you that countdown again. Good morning. My name is John Smith. I hope you are having fun. Click stop and say use recording. And now it takes my voice and it puts it directly onto the page. All right. And this is an awesome, awesome feature. You can take this play button, you can resize it, move it around the screen. I personally have used this with students who had reading fluency issues, right? So we do reading fluency with this, reading checks. Students have used it to record their own voice reading their page. I've had students use the record button to record their own music, right? So if the kids, not stealing music from the internet, but if they want to make their own music with their own instruments, they can do that. I've had students use it for sound effects, right? Something that's totally awesome. I've had choir teachers use it for performance reviews. Lots of great things that you can use with the record button. Now, one of my favorites, though, is when I use the record button in conjunction with an image. So if I go back to my dog image here, all right, let's pull in the dog. We'll do a different one this time. So we'll pull this little guy in here. It looks like a Swiffer duster. All right, I pull in the dog image, and I move it around on the screen. Now, I was going to ask a question. I can't see your hands. But if you've ever had a nonverbal student, right, or a student that you work with that is very limited in English or very limited in talking, what you can do is you can take this recording, right, and you can resize it so that it basically fills as much of that image as you can. All right, now I'm going to move this to the front so that you can see it. All right, so there's my recording. I'm going to cover up as much of that image as I possibly can. What you can do then is click the inspector and say make invisible when reading. And so now when I go to read mode, that audio button isn't there. You don't see it. But when the reader clicks on the image, it will say something. So I've used this, or I've seen teachers that have used this with nonverbal kids. So instead of spending thousands and thousands of dollars for those machines, those touch boards for nonverbal kids, you can make your own touch board. You can also make books that have interactive elements to it, like have kids searching around with images. Click on an image because it might say something, right? Have it be kind of like a little mystery. All right, so really cool stuff that you can do with the audio record button. Absolutely love it. The first couple times kids do it, they'll listen to themselves and say, that's not my voice, I don't understand. And you just simply say, yes, it is. It sounds strange, right? It's like that old answering machine thing, right? You just didn't sound like yourself on the answering machine. All right. Next, under the plus button, we've covered everything there under the media tab. Can you draw or add points on a map? That's what I just saw. Absolutely. So let me go back here and pull in a Google map here real quick. You can draw pretty much over top of anything. I forgot my address here. My apologies. 5949. All right, so I pull in a map. We'll just select it this way. I can then layer on top, right, and go to my media and the pen tool, and I can draw. We'll do a highlighter this time, and maybe we'll highlight it red, and then I can say, oh yeah, John's house is right about there. All right, and so then I can hit done, and now I've got my drawing on top of my Google map. Okay, once it finishes uploading. So again, I'm having a little bit of issue with my Wi-Fi here, but once it does, it will then load that image right on top. Let me see if I can refresh and see if we can kickstart this again. All right, maybe not, but I know it's there. It will do that, so I promise you that is there. Next, under media, again, we already covered all those. The next one is comics. All right, I'm a big fan of the comic pages. And so with comics, if I click on panels, I've got all these different styles that I can choose from. So we'll pick this one. So once the comic panel is on your screen, if you click inside of it, you have two options. I can click this and search through the Google Images. And we'll go with this guy this time. All right, and that file will upload and he's in there. If you want to resize the image inside the panel, you click the arrows, drag the sliders, and then just kind of drag and move the image around. And then inside, we also have a camera, so I can do a still picture. So I click take picture. I wasn't even paying attention. There we go. And now I have my own picture that has been added to the panel as well. Same thing, I can click and move around, or if I don't like it, I can hit the trash can and delete it. Click the plus button, still under comics, we now have speech bubbles. I can move these around and say, I'm hungry. I can resize the bubble. If you click the inspector, you can change the color of the bubble, add a shadow, border, change the color of the text, the size of the border, change your text settings, just like all of the other ones. If I click the plus button in the thought bubble, all right, we can move that around, and now we can put some stuff there, some thought bubbles for the dog. If I click the plus button in comics again, we have some specialized comic text. So the three down here at the bottom are just, even though they may be pre-stylized, you can change them just like any other text that we have. My favorite here though is the caption button. So I can type my name in there, and what you can see is that it outlines it in a very stylized, like comic-y kind of very comic-y kind of look to it. All right, so really cool stuff here. If you click, you can resize it, move it around. But now you can see that it's really starting to look like a comic book, right? So that's pretty cool. I've seen teachers use comic books for graphic novels explaining how to solve math problems, historical graphic novels, science journals in comic form, right? Showing you how an experiment may have gone or whatever. So a lot of really cool things that you can do with comics. If I click the plus button, under comics, the next one we have are stickers. So we have two columns of our own pre-built stickers, which is amazing. And then we have a column of stickers that are blank. So if I click on a blank sticker and resize it, maybe move it over here, I can then add a text box on top of that, and I can put my own stuff in there. And so now by adding a text box on top, I have my own sticker. Okay, now the only thing is you can't group these. So if you want to move that sticker, you just kind of got to move them in sections. Okay? All right, so there you go. So that's the comic features. If I click this white outside area of the comic page and then click the inspector, I can now add some really cool stuff to the outside. I did see somebody just say a message, can I make my I didn't see the whole message, but I think this is what you asked. Can I take my pictures and make them look like a comic book? Not in Book Creator. If you have students that are able to take pictures and edit them somewhere else and save them to their computer, you can then upload those into Book Creator. But right now, we don't have a feature to do filters on the images inside of Book Creator. But again, that's something that other people have asked, and I know I've taken that to the team before. So as soon as we have some other things that we're not working on, I'm sure that's something that we could possibly look at. All right, so I can change my backgrounds here and move this around. And I also just saw a comment. I can see this with younger kids. I didn't see the rest of that comment, but you know what? This is what I love about Book Creator. Book Creator is so simple that I've used it personally with my own children. My son was 4 when he wrote his first book, and my daughter was 6 when she wrote her book. She wrote a book on sight words because she was tired of carrying around her little Rolodex of sight words. So she was able to make a book in Book Creator that talked about her sight words. And she added photos and audio and images and text. And it was really, really cool. But that's what's awesome about Book Creators. It's super simple for even those young kids, kindergarten on up. But it's also very powerful in its simplicity. When you try to give Book Creator to a high school kid, and a high school kid says, man, this looks too easy. Then you say to that kid, that's cool. It is very easy. make me wowed, right? Show me something that I'm shocked that doesn't look like you made it in Book Creator. Our graphic designer, for example, put out a book and about how to use emojis in the classroom. And I read through that book, and I immediately sent a message to our team and said, "There's no way that he made that in Book Creator, right?" And he goes, "Oh no, he did." And it was just amazing talking to him about that process. So you can really do some amazing things. So don't dismiss it just because of the simplicity. I'm not saying that that person who made the comment is dismissing it, but I know sometimes high school teachers, college teachers, professors, things like that, think that just because it's easy means we can't use it. And I just want to caution you against that. All right. So last thing, I'm gonna go find a blank page here real quick. And while I go find a blank page, I'm gonna bring up this Pages view. So right here, I'm in Pages view, and you guys are doing a tremendous amount of work. Great stuff. And during this Pages view, I can see what students are working on. Now, page 3 here, I want to caution you. It looks like page 3 is empty, and it looks like this person did not do anything. But if I click on there, I can see that there is work on this page. So I want you to know that Pages view does not update 100% in real time. So do not grade from this screen, okay? It's not a good place to grade from. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go to a blank page, the last page of the book. If you click on this blank page and then click the inspector button, we still have those page options. So we have different colors. If you don't like our color, you can click on the plus button and make your own. If we have different paper styles, so we have graph paper, small graph paper that nobody's going to use because it's too tiny. We've got lined paper, college ruled, kindergarten paper, the dot game you play when you're bored at PD, the dot game you play when it's an all-day PD, and then music paper. Now, if you're a trombone player, I know we got the bass clef. We got to get that in there some point. One of my choir friends even said, yes, we got to do, like the grand staff and all that stuff. So we'll definitely work on that. All right. But there's some different paper styles. We also have different borders that you can choose from. My favorite is the Book Creator border. We also have different patterns, zigzags and night sky and day sky, shapes and dots. We also have different textures. So my daughter calls this unicorn paper. So we've got unicorn paper, we've got chalkboard, we've got wood, and we've got shiplap. Now, just be careful when you say shiplap to your students, because no matter how much you say shiplap and you enunciate, it still doesn't sound right to kids. So just be cautious when you use that one. But there's all kinds of different things you can use for that background. All right. Now, Mary just asked a really good question. Can I edit a book after I published it? Yes, and let me show you how to do that. So once I'm finished with my book, I can go to Pages View. A couple other things I want to show you here is I can click and drag and reorder pages, all right, by just clicking and dragging them. If I click the 3 dots, I can copy, move, and insert pages and even delete a page. But going back to Mary's question, if I go back out of my book and say, here it is, here's my, Deborah's making a good book there. All right, so if I go back to my playground book here, all right, I'm done with it. I'm ready to do something more with it. So in the center, under the share button, if I click the share button and say publish online, so watch how easy this is. One click, make sure everything here is good. One click again, and now that book is online. So once a book is published online, you can continue to make edits, and those edits will show up live in the published book. All right, so that's a really cool feature. This little blue line right here where it says copy link, that is going to copy that to your virtual clipboard. So when you click on that, it copies it, and then you paste it into wherever you want to paste it. So anybody basically with an internet-connected device can then read that book online. All right, very cool. Also underneath the book, if I click here, I can change the name of the text. I can change the name of the author. With the 3 books icon, if I click on that, I can import a book from another location. So maybe a kid started a book on an iPad and you want to import it into your online library, you can do that. I can move my book to a different library. So I just click on here, choose the library I want it to go to. I can also copy a book. So if I want to make an exact copy of this book, I can. This is a really good idea for teachers who want to make templates for their students. So if I click on copy book, I choose where it goes, and it makes an exact copy of that book in your library. Now, this is really good for students who you don't want messing up your original, right? So if I don't want you to mess up my original, you click copy, and it makes a copy that the kid can edit, but not the original. And then the last one under here is you can combine books. So at the end, if I click on all the books that I want to combine, I just click on them and hit next, put in a title here and hit create book. And it takes all of those books and sucks them together into one giant book, which is really, really cool. Again, in the center, I can publish online. I can turn on or off collaboration. I can download the book as an EPUB. The reason I think most people do this is they download the book and then stuff it in Google Drive, right? So they can have a hard copy of that later, right, that they can do something with. If you download it as an EPUB, or if a parent does that, then the only thing really that you can do to view it is opening it in Book Creator or opening it in like Apple Books. All right, and then the other option is that you can print. Now, before you get too excited, we are not Shutterfly, right? So you can't click print and print out a hardback version of the book. But what it does is it allows you to download a PDF of your book, and then once it's a PDF, you can take it to your high school print shop and say, "Hey, make this fancy and turn this into a really cool, whatever hard." I did see, is there some other way to access this other than through Clever? Yeah, if you just go to app.bookcreator.com, sign in with your teacher account, you'll be all set. Now, another piece that I want to mention with the sign-in page real quick is when you do sign in or when you have students join, please make sure that they click the the student tab, and that when you as a teacher join in, you click the teacher tab. We get students that sign up as teachers. It violates all kinds of privacy policies, so I would definitely make sure that you don't do that. And if you're a teacher and you accidentally sign in as a student, just log out, click the teacher button, sign in as a teacher, and you'll be all set. Okay, and so then from here, the only other thing is, how do I get kids to join a library? Again, you just click that little blue button that says invite code. It gives them the invite code and they join. And then there's also a setting here for your library. So with the library setting, I can change the name if I need to. I can turn on or off Google image search, turn on or off the ability of students to edit books, turn on or off the ability for students to see other student books, which is good, right? Sometimes you want them to see other books, sometimes you don't because it might steal ideas. And you can also turn on or off the ability for students to publish their own books. So when it comes to students publishing their own books, I just want you to be careful. Make sure that your district privacy policies are in place. Make sure that any media release forms are signed and need to be signed before kids are just throwing stuff out there on the internet. And then you can also archive a library. So if after a while you're done with this project, you don't want this library anymore, you can archive that and you can go back and see that later. And then the last thing you can do is you can publish an entire library of books. So if you don't want to publish individual books, you can just click Publish Library, and then you give it a title, give it a description, hit Next, answer a few questions, and then you publish an entire library. So one link, all the books in that library are then viewable through that link. All right. And if there's time, can I go over the animation? Let me click and see what that says. The animating a drawn image feature. So we don't have the ability to animate drawn images. Okay, so I just want to make sure that that's there. We do not have that ability yet. Maybe it's something that we can build into the future, but right now, once you draw that image and hit done, it is just a static image that you can resize. So hopefully that answered that question. If not, then shoot another message in there and I can go ahead and answer that. So at this point, I do not have anything else to say about Book Creator itself. Those are all of the features. Hopefully you had some fun, and I'll give you a little sneak peek. So if you want to come back later, we have a bunch of tasks that I'm going to be asking everybody to answer. All right, and so what I want you to do is you're going to take these questions and you're going to answer them inside the book. All right, and if you are itching to get in there and answer some of those questions already, you can't do it because I did not turn on collaboration yet. But what we're going to do is we're all going to get in there, find a blank page, and start making answers to these questions. We're going to compile them all together at the very end of our hour and call it getting to know, or maybe like getting to know Newton or Newton's teachers or whatever we want to call it. We're going to have some fun with that. So it's going to just be a session of fun. It's a stressful time. Let's just have some fun with this and play around a little bit. That meeting is at 1 o'clock, right? So you're going to have an hour break. Get some food and come back at 1 if you want to do that. Are there any other questions out there that I have not answered that I might be able to help answer, or if any of my friends want to come back on say something, let me know. Yes, Yolanda, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Can you time the turning of the pages? So that's a great question. From the read mode, right? So if I click on this play button under the book, this is what the book would look like online, right? If somebody was reading the book on their phone or on their other device. And under settings, you can actually choose the speed. Now, we've got slow, medium, and fast, and you can also have the pages turn automatically. So that's about as much as we've got in terms of being able to turn pages automatically. We don't have a way to set timings like some other tools, like presentation tools or things like that. Thank you everybody for your comments. I really appreciate it. I think they've all been good comments. If they're bad comments, I just ignored you. But thank you for being here. Yes, the session at 1 o'clock is totally different. It's just going to be you playing around, answering the questions that I put in there for you. Just have some fun, give you a little more sense of what Book Creator can do, and just kind of playing around with it. It's more you-centered versus me talking. All right, it's going to be some fun. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. Oh, I see a lot of you with your cameras on. Hey, look, everybody get your camera on. There it is. I'm going to take a selfie. Get those cameras going. All right, let's that whole top row. Where are you at, top row? All right, now, and if you're not on here, I apologize, right? I gotta find some better lighting. I gotta move to a different room here real quick. All right, come on, top row. All right, let's get let me turn the lights on out here. All right, cool. I'm gonna flip that around. Awesome, great. So anyway, thank you for being here. Gentlemen, anything else that you want to say before I hit the road here and come back at 1?
No, I think that was awesome. We tried our best to answer all questions. One of the questions I just saw pop up is how do we access? If you guys go to your Clever dashboard, it auto signs you in and you have access, or you can go directly to app.bookcreator.com. And your students have access via Clever as well. You would just have to create a library for them to join if you want them to have access to what you have provided or what you will provide for them.
Great.
Or they can have each class, their teacher that they're in, have it that way, and they'd come in as their class and get a
exactly.
Teacher.
Yes, Ms. Joy, that is exactly correct.
And I'm glad that Joy said something. I didn't mention this, but with the purchase that your district has made, and with the access that we have given you now for until the end of the school year, every teacher has access to make unlimited libraries. And so unlimited libraries is really amazing because you can make a library for every kid, for small groups, for every class. I mean, you could really turn this into a digital portfolio with each individual student if you really, really wanted to. So there's a lot of flexibility that you have with the licenses that you guys have.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, John.
All right, you're welcome. I'll see you in about an hour and 2 minutes.
Look, 1 hour, guys. Join us again. Thank you, guys.
All right, see ya.